Hi everybody. In this quick video tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up basic physics for a player character in the Blender game engine, and then we'll also learn how to set up the camera so it looks like a first-person controller, first-person shooter type game. Okay, so I've just got a default cube. I've got a plane that's going to be my ground. I'm going to select the cube by right-clicking on it. I'll then come over here to my right hand panel and I'll click on the materials panel. It looks like a beach ball and it's already got a material on it. I'm going to change the name there. I'm going to call it player, and I'll go ahead and give it a reddish color here. Okay, I'm going to then select the ground plane. I'll give it a new material since it doesn't already have one. Change the name. And I'll give it kind of a bluish color, I think. Okay, I'm going to select the lamp, move it around a little bit just to light things up a bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take the player here and I'm going to set it up so that he's got a keyboard sensor, it's W, and then I'm going to come over here to add actuator and I'm going to choose a motion actuator and I'll wire those two up. Okay, so you'll see the choices that I have here. And normally I would go ahead and I'd say, okay, I want them to move on the y-axis. So if I change this to say 0.5, and then if I press P to play, then I move, but you'll see that my character has no gravity, and that's it. So now that I want to add gravity, make sure my player character is selected. I'll come over here and click on the physics button, and I'm going to change the physics type from static to dynamic. Now, when I press play, character drops and it goes zipping along, and of course it will eventually fall. What I'd like to show you in this video now is this. Now that my character is a dynamic type physics, I'm going to remove the number on the location because now these other dynamic options open up. And so there are two other new options here that we could try. We can try force, and we can try linear velocity. I know it's abbreviated here, but that's what it says. So let me try force, and I'm going to try a value of 1. And again, I'm still on the positive y-axis. So if I try that now, you'll see it does nearly nothing. So maybe I need it to be a much bigger number. We'll try 10. Okay, so 10 works, so you need a bigger number there. And then when I let go, there's a little bit of a drift or a slide. Okay, change that back to 0, and I'll try down here linear velocity, and I'll start off with a value of 1. Okay, so linear velocity doesn't need as high of a number. It has a little tiny bit of a slide, but not much at all. I'm going to go ahead and bump that up to maybe 4. Okay, so that seems to move better. Okay, so the idea is that these dynamic options here are going to give you a little bit more of a more realistic way of moving than just these location and rotation up here on the top. There's still a third, more advanced and more accurate way that I will show you in class, but for now I would try linear velocity and try using that. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach the camera to the cube, because when you press play, you want to be looking through the camera. Of course, that makes sense. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera over so that it's more in line with the cube. I'm going to orbit my view around. Okay, so with the camera selected, I'm going to press the letter N, as in number, and this will allow you to control the location, the rotation of the camera. So right now the rotation I'm going to set it for the x-axis. I'm going to set that to 90, 90, and then for the others, they're both going to be set to 0. So that way the camera is now facing forward, the same direction that I want my cube to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and move my camera down, over, and move it like this. Okay, so now you can see my camera's right kind of where the head of the cube is, and I'm going to go ahead and lift this up a little bit, maybe bring it back a little bit. Okay. Alright, so there we are there. Okay, so I'm going to press N to make that toolbar go away. Alright, so now we want to do a step called parenting, and this is where you attach one object to another, and that's called parenting. So you have a parent and you have a child. The child object always follows the parent, unlike in real life. And so what we're going to do is we want to make the camera a child of the cube, and that way then the camera will follow around the cube. So here's how you do it. You basically select the child first, then you shift right click and select the parent first. I know that sounds strange to select the child first, then the parent. It's not like how real life happens, but select the child first, then the parent. Once you've got them selected like that, you can then go ahead and parent by pressing Control P. And then it's going to say set parent to, and you're going to choose object, the very first one. Okay? I'm going to press A to deselect them both. And now you'll see a little dashed line coming out of the camera showing that it's attached to the cube. And here's the real test. I can select the camera and press G and grab it and move it around, and you'll see that nothing really happens. But if I select the camera now and I press G and move it around, you'll notice that the camera is parented to the cube as it's following around. I'll press escape and get out of that. Okay, now the big test. I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple other objects here in my scene. I'm going to go ahead and just put this big cylinder here, and then I'll duplicate it by pressing Shift D for duplicate. And I'll put this one over here, and there we go. Okay, so it's a really basic environment, of course. Okay, so now the last thing I'm going to show you is how to look through your camera view. Actually, before I do that, let me show you how to unparent, just in case you made a mistake. So let's say you parented this incorrectly. Let's say you got the cube parented to the camera, and the cube is the child, and the camera is the parent. So the way you do it is you shift right click and you select both objects, then you press Option P, and then you just choose Clear Parent. Okay? Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to look through the camera. So to do that, find the numpad on your keyboard, that's on the right side of your keyboard, and you're going to press the number 0, and then you actually get to see through your camera, so that's really cool. Now you can zoom in and zoom out. I recommend you zoom in so your camera space fills up most of your window here, and then when you press P, you are now in camera view, and so if I press forward, you'll see that I can actually move forward. And eventually, if I obviously fall off the edge, then I'm just going to go off the edge, and there we go. So there we are. That's pretty much it. I'll make this, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate these guys a little bit. Okay, so again, numpad 0, there we are. Press play. Okay, I'm pressing W, so you can actually see me going through down the middle, and then there we are. Okay, so that is it. So good luck with that. Set up your cube character, parent your camera to your cube character, and go ahead and try adding in some objects that can make a little very simple environment, and good luck.